everybody. What a great audience. So
Yes.
good to have you here. And what a show we have.
Look, I can't help people that don't want to know.
Right.
Yeah.
People that prefer darkness, that's even from the time of Christ, right? From then until now, there are those who prefer darkness, right?
Their deeds are evil.
Their deeds are evil.
Mm-hmm.
But we are trying to do everything we can to help people who do want to know.
Yeah.
And this won't only tell you what the problem is, it'll tell you where the answers lie, and it'll also tell you what you can do about it, right?
Yeah.
And that's the kind of empowering that people need to know.
Yes.
So for instance, Steve Bannon
Yes.
is forced out,
Right.
right,
Yep.
of Trump's inner circle,
Yes.
which was probably a big mistake because I think he's going to be able to help Trump more on the outside
Oh yeah.
than on
I
the
think
inside.
so too.
But they forced him out,
Yeah.
and that very day, actually, Colonel McGinnis emailed me, and we shared some stuff via email about what was going on. But look, Bannon, he is a subscriber to a book that was published in 1997 called The Fourth Turning. And it's not a Christian book, it's a secular book. It was written by two professors who examined an enormous amount of history, right? And they came up with a way of explaining what happens cyclically with great countries, great powers.
You have to have that foundation.
That's the point.
And this book also is how the secret deep state occultists are manipulating American society through a Washington-based shadow government, in big print there, in quest of the final world order. This book is the newest from the pen of Tom Horn and Associates.
Yes.
Several people help and add to it. And I want you to get all three of these books for a gift of $35. You get all three books, The Saboteur, and they call it the Saboteurs Collection. The Deeper State, Inside the War on Trump by Corrupt Elites, Secret Societies, and the Builders of an Eminent Final Empire. And this is Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis's newest book.
Also, I just have a question for you, Colonel. Is America ready for an EMP attack?
No. No, there's actually been a federal commission that has studied the issue and made recommendations, and basically Congress is probably not going to stand it up or continue its service. We are totally unprepared. To protect our electric grid, it would take billions of dollars, and so there's no appetite for that from the private sector.
No.
Certainly even the military, we don't have a lot of our equipment that's hardened. Because it takes, special covering, special instruments and so forth, we just haven't done that.
Right.
So no, we're totally unprepared. Yeah, there was something the pastor was talking about. He said add in the ER, and what came to mind, I was in 1972. 73. I was at the Nixon inauguration, second Nixon inauguration, and because my mother was working there, I had access to the underground of the Capitol, and so I walked through the underground from the House to the Senate. And what did I find deep underground? Soldiers. Hundreds and hundreds of soldiers. They were prepared for what would be riots. And it occurs to me, everywhere in Washington, there are deep underground locations where a lot of things are hidden. And they're not supposed to be known by the public. Yes, we do keep secrets, but for the most part, for good reasons. And in that case, it was in case the inauguration was overrun by radicals and that people came out. But there are a lot of secrets in Washington. And when, like Tom talks about, when they have these weird parties, and there are people that participate in these things that are in positions of great authority. And they keep these relationships to themselves. but they do influence their tough decisions. And they influence us indirectly because they're making decisions that are based upon information that they will not share with us. And they are certainly guided in a way that does not honor our Lord.
But I went to the House of the Temple, the headquarters of the Scottish Rite Freemasonry. I met, Nita was with me. I don't know if she's here today. My wife, Nita. I'm glad I took her with me because we'd have came out of that and people wouldn't have believed me that we verified that when every American president is inaugurated, standing there in that temple building I was telling you about earlier, facing the obelisk, right across town next to the White House, they are literally practicing the raising of Osiris ceremony, right out of Egyptian magic. And the purpose of that, of course, is that they're looking forward to the day when the spirit of Apollo, Osiris, is going to come up out of the pit, like Revelation 17 says, is going to go into a man who will be known as Antichrist. They're practicing this. They're praying for it. The WikiLeaks show that they're even doing, right out of the liber of Aleister Crowley, deep, disgusting sex ritual magic.
Yes.
Stuff I can't talk about on a family-friendly. I do get into part of it in here, and I've been telling people, by the way, that book is not a book for children.
Tom, you mentioned the Bohemian Grove.
Right.
And of course, I have a piece in the Deeper State. There were some WikiLeaks, and they involved Colin Powell. Now, I worked for Colin Powell when I was a young lieutenant, and he was my battalion commander in Korea. And so I read with interest what his WikiLeaks, because he had just come back on the dates of the WikiLeaks from the Bohemian Grove, from 2 weeks in Shangri-La, right, in Northern California. And he said that, look, we were talking about things that are going on in the world. Now, who goes to these meetings? You've got, as you indicate, corporate leaders, former presidents, current members of the administration, Hollywood people in some cases. Some of the most influential people in the world come together. Now, you'd have to be absolutely stupid to believe that that doesn't impact the policy of our country or the decisions that those people make, because it does. Sure. They're making transactions, whether or not it's, they're standing there, next to that tree you described, or they're bowing down to that owl. They're making transactions that are going to carry on from time to time. All of these secret organizations do that. If you go to the Trilateral Commission or you go to the Council for Foreign Relations, they all have baggage that in many cases I would say is very occultic, because they're making secret agreements that are fostering their interests but hurting, I would argue, the country. They're sponsoring their own nefarious agendas, their own pockets. They're looking at padding their pockets, but most of them are globalist. Right. They could care less about the United States. They're concerned about their own interest, and they want to control the world. You look at someone like Ted Turner. Ted Turner is a high roller. Ted Turner is the guy that talks about, we have too many people in this world. Sure. As a globalist, they want to reduce the population to 500 million. What is it today? It's pushing 8 billion. So how are they going to do that? Well, the same people. The Rockefellers were the ones that, paid Margaret Sanger the money she needed to do the research on abortion. Sure. The whole eugenics movement. All of these things are interconnected, and they're incredibly evil, and yet these people want to laugh this off, like they do in the WikiLeaks and Colin Powell did.
How can intelligent people accept all this? This is shocking information. Donald Trump, I guess, didn't get nominated by these people.
No, that was a spiritual thing.
Is that what makes him mad?
Yeah, he's not a member of the club. That's why they hate him.
Yeah.
Just like the witches said, it's against him and all who abet him. The same thing is also true. And the people that are rejecting Trump, they're not just rejecting him, they're rejecting you. They're saying to the American people, you are a small but significant majority of Americans that elected Donald Trump, a non-establishment guy, right? And they're saying, we're going to overturn this duly elected president. There's a soft coup, they're saying.
And we
that's-
didn't
that's
pick
underway.
him.
Yeah, he's not our guy. We don't care what you think. So it's not just a rejection of him. It's a rejection of you as an American to possess the right to govern your own life, yourself.
Yeah.
They're rejecting that. They're rejecting you.
How can this be? What we're put a ribbon around this thing for me. What in the world is going on? Is it just total deception? But it's
yes,
been going
yes.
on for decades.
It's clearly deception. We have had outsiders that have come in using violence, but also using what I say is the Fabian way. It's something Obama did, was bait and switch. It's named after Fabius Marcus, who was the Roman conqueror, who said you use harassment, you discourage the supporters of this idea, and you're going to win through the subtle means as well as the violent means. So we've got a color revolution going on in the United States today. That's why we're a split country. Some people believe the media, having been I go to these green rooms and I listen to these bizarre people, and maybe I'm one of them. But I listen to them and I don't agree with what they're saying. But I suppose they are there for their own, nefarious purposes. They represent their clientele, their think tanks, their political parties. I don't know that they really believe it, but. The media is one of the tools. The likes of George Soros, he plants a lot of money through the journalism schools in this country, and it's well documented that he kind of switches it on and switches it off to his NGOs, non-government organizations, and educational establishments, and he fuels the media, the fake news, as Tom made reference to kind of fan the flames. So you have harassment, you have the media helping. There's a long line of corruption at the federal political level. And then, of course, we talked about the IRS, the ATF, Fast and Furious. We talked about the VA corruption. I mean, the first layer of the deep state is very, very corrupt. That's why we need people to come in and clean it out. And I believe Mr. Trump has every intention of doing that, but you can't do it if you have the likes of Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan, who are dragging their feet on helping to get things moving forward. And then, of course, the media is being complicit in helping to really confuse the American people about what the truth is.
Don't go away. We'll be right back after